And welcome to the Dr. Tech Show, where myself, Pauline Roche, and Sweyn Hunter, and often guests, guide you through the world of online communications in the show, which is the brainchild of the late, great John Popham. And in true Dr. Tech fashion, we check in with our special guest, Simon Finch, and ask Simon, how are you and how's the weather where you are today?
I'm very well, thank you, Pauline. And the weather today is changeable, which we get a lot of. I'm in Newcastle upon Tyne on the northeast coast of England. And this morning when I walked my dog at about 9 o'clock, it was almost muggy and warm, and we probably had about 13 degrees. And at midday, when I stuck my head out, it was chilly, and I think we call it mizzle. Mm-hmm. There was or almost a sea fret that had come in land. So it's turning chilly now.
Is that the rain that percolates through your clothes and get wet even?
Just breathe wetness. Yes. Yeah. Makes the dog wet.
Yeah. Sweyn, what about you? What's the weather like in where you are?
Much like the northeast of England, by the sound of it. It's set, not fair, as you might say. So there's it's hard to say whether it's fog, mist, or rain that's occurring, but that is what's going on.
Well, here in Birmingham, I can see a bright sky, but it's cloudy. And it has been raining from what I can see, so I hope to get out for a walk later on, but I might just have to walk up and down the flat to kind of get my 100,000 steps, whatever I'm trying to do today.
100,000?
Well, you know, whatever.
That's a lot.
Vague number. So welcome, Simon. But before we come to talk to you, which we're very much looking forward to, we just go through some of the usual things that are happening around this time of year. So October, we're in the middle of October now, but it is, as it has been for many years, we're celebrating Black History Month. And during October, the whole of the UK celebrates Black History Month, although it's been celebrated every year in February since 1970. It wasn't officially recognised and celebrated in the UK until 1987, when it was organised by the activist Akeba Adai-Sibo, who at the time was the coordinator for special projects for the Greater London Council. The first Black History Month was celebrated only in London, but in the years since, celebration has spread across the whole of the UK and is now celebrated annually throughout each October. In fact, I was at a Black History Month event in the London Irish the London Irish Embassy, some couple of years ago now, and it was great to see Black Irish people getting together and celebrating our culture. But the main aims of Black History Month are to celebrate the achievements and contributions of Black people, not just in the UK, but throughout the world, and also to educate all on Black history. And during October, there are many events to celebrate Black History Month across the country. Special classes and celebrations arranged within schools, and African Caribbean societies at universities put on special events and lectures. Museums and art galleries have special themed exhibits, and there are also many special themed shows about Black History Month on the TV and radio. And I'm sure we've enjoyed some of them. In fact, this weekend is coming up in Birmingham a Black Tech Expo, which I'm hoping to go along to, because we're not yet achieve parity for Black and brown people in the tech world. So it'd be good to see more Black and brown people getting involved and coming along to that event on Saturday. Okie dokie. So as regards events, it's also Get Online Week all week, which is another celebration. And in my own part of the world, we are running some sessions for Get Online Week from today, Monday the 18th, until Friday the 22nd of October. In Birmingham. So I think Sweyn has a flyer up on the screen now. So obviously today's show is part of our offer for Get Online Week with Simon, and Sweyn's waggling the mouse to indicate that's what we're doing right now on YouTube. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have sessions at Northfield Community Partnership, drop-in sessions about getting to know your device and staying safe online. So we'll probably be revisiting some of the conversation that we're going to have with Simon today. And on Friday at Longnuke Hall in Longnuke Road in Bartley Green, we're doing a session where the digital literacy team will be at a community day. And all week, people can drop into Northfield Community Partnership and use one of our PCs for job searches, or call one of our digital literacy project workers. So we hope that Northfield and Edgbaston residents over 50 will be picking up some of those opportunities this week. And in other parts of the country, we have some libraries celebrating Get Online Week. And in Knowsley, We have Knowsley Libraries celebrating Get Online Week with a number of activities. If you scroll down, Sweyn, we can see what they're planning. They talk about the campaign, and they also talk about what's available in libraries. Now, this is not just this week, it's available all year round, but it's good to highlight it on a week like this, and offering different resources. So if you scroll down a bit more, we can see they're encouraging people on Monday to get online and get reading, because they have free e-books and e-audiobooks borrowing service, offering a wide range of fiction and non-fiction titles. And then you can either read it online or download it onto your computer, tablet, or smartphone. And in Knowsley, you can borrow a total of 12 downloadable ebooks, same in Birmingham actually, and or e-audiobooks for up to 21 days, after which they will automatically expire unless you renew them. So don't forget to renew them if you're still in the middle of a thriller or something like that. All you need to borrow them is a membership number and PIN, and you can join very easily online, and they'll help you and send you your membership details. They also have a podcast, The Bookcase, for insightful book chat and tips to fuel their own creative writing. On Tuesday, they have a session on business. The Huyton Library Business and Intellectual Property Centre is offering free access to online resources, Mintel, Cobra, and Grant Finder. And on Wednesday, they have a session on getting connected to your council, highlighting plenty of council services available on the council's website to use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can even have an online chat with one of their advisors, available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., 9 to 4 on Wednesdays. And on Friday, they have a Get Online, Get Learning session. If you want to brush up on your IT skills or indeed learn new skills, they can help you with courses that might be available. Or if you want to research your family tree, also very popular, offering Ancestry, which allows customers to search the family history by providing free access to censuses, immigration records, military records, court and legal documents, photos and maps, free of charge to all library customers. I think that's a really great offer. On Saturday of Get Online Week, they're saying Get Online, Get Driving. So they're offering the opportunity for people to practice their driving theory test using the Theory Test Pro online in all Knowsley libraries. And this replicates the theory driving test all drivers have to pass before taking the practical test. And in addition, on Tuesday, the 19th of October, supported by Barclays Bank, Huyton Library will be hosting a drop-in get to know IT session from 10 a.m. So that's one of the ones like we were running in Birmingham. So anyone needing help to get online, set up an email address, do shopping, research, job search, connecting with friends and family, you can do that in Knowsley Library. So well done to Knowsley Libraries for offering those sessions during Get Online Week. We also picked up a few more library offers, one from Thameside. They're saying try something new during Get Online Week with Thameside Libraries. And again, we can scroll down and see what Thameside is offering. They're encouraging people to get the most of the net, to try. They've got Get Online Week Bingo, which sounds fascinating. That's one that you're dying to click. I'm dying to click it and see what they're offering for that. And then if we scroll down again, they're saying to people, you need help because everything's online these days. So they're offering leaflets like managing your money online, managing your health online, staying safe online, and shopping online, which sound like very useful things. And I'll probably download them for my colleagues in Northfield and Edgbaston. And they're also obviously reminding people that Learn My Way course, the Good Things Foundation Learn My Way courses cover similar topics if you want to just do the online learning. Also, they're suggesting that if people have a new tablet and want to learn with something easy, they're offering e-audiobooks and e-books, e-magazines and e-newspapers, again, completely free with the library card. And they have information on their e-reading page. And then the next section is about not online at all yet. So for those people who, and we know there's plenty of them still not online, there's plenty going on at Ashton Library, and they remind people that they offer 1 hour per day free internet use for library members, and staff can offer support to help you get started. So that's available via phone, email, or web chat, or calling in, and obviously reminding you to check the library opening hours. I think the final one, that's the final one on that page. You want to take a simple short course to improve your online skills. They're again reminding people about the online bingo and Learn My Way courses. And then if you further scroll down, there's the kind of listing of bringing all the sections together of what's being offered from Thameside. So well done, Thameside, for offering a range of things during Get Online Week. And as ever, libraries are offering these things throughout the year as well. And the next library we picked up was Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland libraries are offering different sessions during Get Online Week as well. Again, from the 18th to 24th of October. And there's a program of free Zoom classes and one-to-one virtual sessions. So they have a whole listing of the sessions they're offering, more about using computers with experienced staff on hand to help. And if you scroll down, they're offering a class on privacy. Today at 11, that was 11, so we might have missed that one, but maybe that's available on record. Introduction to the cloud. We often talk about the cloud, and still not everybody is aware of what that might be. So that's a useful one to have on today. That's happening now, actually, if you want to log into that. And if we scroll down again, a session on your health online, finding out about reliable websites, giving expert up-to-date information, help and support on health and health issues with useful hints and tips to improve your health and well-being. And that's tomorrow. And down again, Press Reader. This is access to around 3,000 national and world newspapers to the library's Northern Ireland Libby app. And I know other libraries have this as well around the rest of the UK. So you can join this Zoom session to find out how to use Press Reader. So if you've got an obscure national, world or newspaper that you want to log into, they can probably help you find it and log into it regularly. Introduction to iPad. Lots of people have been given iPads, might not have ever used one. This is a session to meet Siri, your virtual assistant, get up to speed with your privacy settings and location services, and find out how to multitask. And they're going to be offering more sessions, more on the iPad later in the year. And so on and so forth. And there's a few more. There's one about scams. Now, this is something I'm going to be talking to Simon about. It's very important to a lot of the older people I meet to not get fooled. And somehow when you get older, you just feel a bit more vulnerable, and getting scammed is embarrassing and humiliating and wrong and all those things. And it's not people's fault, but there are some very smart people out there trying to fool us. So we need to have our wits about us, unfortunately. But there are people out there and things out there we can help you out that can help with that. Are there a few more on that page, Sweyn? Yeah, practice using Zoom. Okay, if you keep scrolling down, then Libby e-magazines, more on the iPad. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier. Scams, another class on scams, and that's probably, yeah. Okay, so that's all the sessions. And again, it's Libraries Northern Ireland who are offering those for Get Online Week, and we encourage you to tune into some of those. And if you, not all of those will be on the Get Online Week general website, but if you do want to just check out what else might be available in your area, the Get Online Week 2021 website is https://uk.getonlineweek.com. I think Sweyn has it on screen or is getting it on screen. .com. Yeah, no, that's not working very well. It was on the grid, so if maybe go straight from the grid. Oh yeah, there we go.
There we are.
So people are being encouraged to put their events, and if you haven't done it yet, I'm sure you can still add your events to Get Online Week and let people know what's happening. And I'm sure because everything so much is available online now, there will be people from other parts of the country tuning into, people in different parts of the country and the world probably, to find out what's going on during Get Online Week. So encourage you to shop around for Get Online Week activities that really attune with your needs for being online. And so we come to our very special guest, Simon Finch, who has been on the program before. We're delighted he was able to join us today, particularly for Get Online Week around online safety. Simon is a presenter and guide on online safety, safeguarding, and a wide range of technology and learning related topics. He's a regular conference speaker for universities, local safeguarding children partnerships, local authorities, schools, public services and charities. And he's the 2013 NAACE Impact Award winner for leadership for commitment to ensuring a safe and supportive learning environment for the Education Centre. Simon has 30 plus years, I think, experience in UK education, and he remains committed to helping young people become confident, creative and safe digital citizens. Simon, you're welcome back to the show again.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, that was never meant to be read aloud. That's the bit whenever you speak at a conference, or if anybody wants to know who you are, you write, you know, so this brief kind of LinkedIn thing about, you know, to persuade people that he might know what it is he's speaking about, but not to read out. I mean,
Oh, it sounds good anyway. I'm sure
it does sound good, and we're very confident that you do know what you're talking about, Simon. I think you sent us a link to
yes.
a flyer about all the other things you've been doing. We were going to kind of have that up on screen if you want to talk through a few of those things now or later.
Well, I'm not sure. It's really, it's a reminder so that if I forget to speak about some things, and it's a tangible thing that you can distribute to people or put on your website, because it's all of the web addresses, really, of the places that you can get support. And I've done that previously for a charity that was focusing on pretty much the same thing as today. So, and I'm kind of fairly frequently asked to do that, and these things go out of date almost as quickly as you make them, which is why mostly if you want support from me or would appreciate support from me, there is a website which is simplinuk.com, and you can share these things. There's a Facebook page, and there's an Instagram account, there's a Twitter account, and that way not only would you get a kind of day-to-day, almost hour-by-hour updates and information relevant to being safe online, regardless of our age or circumstance, but it also gives you an opportunity to interact as you did today. You know, people can message me, and I will do what I can if I have the time and the ability to provide the support that people want.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Simon's website, simplinuk.com. So can you tell us a bit, Simon, of what's been happening, you know, in this world, say during lockdown and more recently, if there's anything that's really coming up to the top of your agenda at the moment?
Yes. So several things are happening now. This show is going to be like 4 hours, right? So
we can go into day 2 if necessary.
It'll certainly feel like 4 hours by the time I finish. So here's the thing, right? Which is that I've been doing online safety since about 2006, 2007, and also I'm getting old, and I've been in education for 35 something years, and so these two things. And COVID has given me an opportunity to step back a little bit and to witness, because we've not been so busy with our day-to-day work, you know, driving and doing all of those things. So there are things that I've had a chance to kind of cogitate upon and muse upon. And I realized that back in 2000 and something, we thought we would just have to do a few sessions about online safety. It was about keeping children safe, and it was about giving them technology to make sure they were safe from strangers and radicalization and so on. And once you told everyone, we could then go back to our proper jobs. I mean, that just seemed to be such a reasonable thing to do. And we did sessions for parents and teachers and adults that work with young people, so social workers and doctors and police officers. And I assumed I would go back to the frankly more interesting things, I thought, that I was doing prior to that. So we're 15, 16 years down the line. And what COVID has done, so this is my interpretation on this, is that it has highlighted and focused upon the failings of adults in proving to be positive role models in terms of digital citizenship and digital literacy for the young people in our care. So we still have all of these adults punishing and chastising and criticizing how young people are online, and yet the children have no online role models. And so we could say, for the people that we're talking about today about getting online, maybe they could be our role models, you know, maybe as the new residents that they'll be able to do this. So, and one of the questions that I have always asked is does social media hold up a magnifying glass or a mirror to the human condition? Does it show us how people really are? When we see the bullying, the online bullying and so on, is that what people really like? Or does it magnify it? Does it allow people to be bigger versions of themselves, more hateful, more helpful, more narcissistic, you know, whatever it is, that are more vulnerable? And I think that COVID has allowed us to see adults, because that's what I'm talking about, in the worst possible light. And we could start, so I had nothing else to do almost through COVID, but to gather examples of what was happening in terms of not just in the UK, not just us, but definitely our communities, our families and our friends and our neighbors, and the way that they are behaving towards each other online and face to face. And there is a rollover of that. So toilet paper panic buying would be a starting point. I saw something on the news. I'm in a Facebook group, and everybody in the Facebook group has told me that Sainsbury's down the road has run out of toilet paper or pasta, but there is some available further down the road. So we all pile down to Lidl down the road, and everybody fills up. And you then see an embarrassment really of riches, of people with cupboards full of stuff. So that you had that, and that then manifests or develops into anti-vax and anti-mask, and the belief that the Magna Carta would allow you to open your business, or that if you were injected with the vaccine, you would become Bluetooth active. And then we had celebrities who were then also perpetrating these myths that become truths. And so there is something about that each of us provide an authenticity to any piece of information that we have. Because if Pauline tells me that the Houses of Parliament have blown up an hour ago, I will believe that because I trust Pauline. And where did you get that from? If Pauline says I read it on Facebook, then part of me would perhaps stop for a moment. But Pauline told me, so we each provide a legitimacy to this stuff. So in terms of citizenship, we have a responsibility to each other. In terms of literacy, we need to stop and we need to check before we share. And these are the tiny little messages that I'm asked to do in primary schools. And you put those words in big letters on the screen and we all recite them. Yeah, stop, check, and all of that, report, block and talk. And yet such a failing is evident. Not us, not me, you, Sweyn and Pauline, because we obviously are above all of that. Quite. Everybody else on the planet is simply sharing untruths, and the damage of that is that people who look that they are Chinese are beaten senseless in Manchester and Liverpool and London because they must have brought COVID here. So I have slides that demonstrate that, or that we can see that that people lose money because they tried to keep their business open because somebody told them about the Magna Carta. So we have all of these things that we need to think about. And this is also underpinned by a continued narrative of the virtual world and the real world. As though what happened on social media was artificial and not real and made up and populated by robots or something. And that the real world is where we are sitting, well, not now because we're online, in our houses. So that if you were talking about, so this is a long way around, right? But you asked me, you invite me on, and I don't get to talk very often. So
make the most of it.
If I'm going to bring my dog in because he doesn't get to see many people either. So here's the thing, is that when you were bringing people online, and it was so used, all of those headings of all of those courses and opportunities about money and so on, those are so important. And before you even get to that, it is, you will be engaging with real people. Stop thinking about that. And maybe I'm not online because I've got real friends. I'm not doing that virtual thing. I've got proper friends. So we need to change all of that round, which is all of those proper friends are online too. And so then also, when you're saying, let's get people online, well, what a big, difficult task that is. So if we were to have an analogy on this, that if we were to move to another town, to another place, so that I live in Newcastle, so I'm going to go to London, I've got a new job and I'm going to move to London, and I've bought this big house. And on the day of moving, I'm carrying things in and out, and neighbors start to appear, and there's a corner shop at the end of the road and stuff. What I wouldn't do is go, because I have some sense, is to go up to everybody I say, hi, I'm Simon, how do you do? You kind of already taking visual clues about which the people maybe we should speak to. So that the next door neighbor says, oh, it's good to see you, and let's start speaking to me. I will say, my name is Simon Finch. If I feel that things are all right, I'm not going to then follow that up with, oh, and I'll say it is odd that I'm called Simon Finch because my mother's maiden name. was starling, and those are like two birds. To give somebody you don't know your mother's maiden name, and to say, do you know, I'm out from 7 till 7 every day. Would you mind having a key to my house? This person I've met a moment ago.
Mm.
So these are common sense things that if, you know, Sweyn or if Pauline were going to a new place, I wouldn't need to teach you that. I wouldn't need to run a course to say, have your guard up, be friendly, but have your guard.
Mm.
And so that when you go to buy a car, I need to buy a car, and there is a, with respect to secondhand car dealers, you know, there's a one on hardcore with, you know, chicken wire fence and cars pointing in random directions, whatever. your radar is already alerting you that maybe these are a little Arthur Daly-ish. And equally so is, you know, the Rolls Royce dealership is too expensive. So you have a frame of reference.
Yes.
But you need a car, so you take an informed risk. So for these people that we're talking about, let's get them online, then maybe we're going to say you could have done your shopping online, and during COVID, during the winter coming, you know, all of this stuff, maybe that's a benefit you would appreciate. Let's just start with, and let's do some product placement here. Let's go for the big name supermarkets. You're probably not going to lose all of your money if you go to Sainsbury's, if you go to Tesco, if you go to Iceland, if you go to Marks and Spencer's, if you go to Waitrose online. You were probably going to get what you paid for. Mm. So you can start with that. And then the next part of it is to say, well, draw upon these face-to-face people that you know. Your Pauline and Spencer say, where do you get your shopping from? Where did you buy that from? And they said, well, actually, I bought that from, I've just bought a load of shelves for my garage, and those are from, oh, am I going to get sponsored for this? They're from Big Doug. So you can edit them out. So I know people who have bought the shelves, they stay up and, you know, value for money or whatever it is. So that risk is worth taking. I also, though, I'm searching to buy gifts for people for Christmas. So that's going to take me a little bit off that path over to Etsy. Etsy is independent traders. Homemade, handmade gifts that may, and I've done this before, maybe they will be broken, maybe they won't be delivered. I might want to sell some of my clothes and get over onto Vinted, and then, or I might be over on eBay, or I might be on Facebook Market. And with each of those things, our guard needs to be a little higher. It's said, somebody says they're selling a laptop for £100. I don't even know if it's got any gubbins inside it. I don't know if it's been stolen. So you start to have a much more grounded, humanist, if you like, citizen basis for how you get people online, rather than saying this is what you click on, and you click on that and you put your bank, because otherwise people will be scammed. And then the other part of this, we must be in hour 3 by now, aren't we? I think you need to have, I think we all have to have a kind of psychology or something of we are mentally prepared for losing some stuff online. Which is, and I, you know, I go back, I'm much older than you two, see where I'm going with this. So back in the 80s, people were just taking VCRs from houses. Everybody had their cars stolen, and everybody seemed to have the VCR taken from the house. It was a thing that happened. So you then build into your lives disaster management. And the disaster management is, you know, where you're going to get some money from. Have you got adequate insurance and so on? So I assume that at some point online, my bank details are going to be scammed. I'm constantly checking with my own bank what the procedure is when I can see money going out of my accounts. You know, I've got apps on my phone that are able to, you know, whether it's PayPal or whether it's individual supermarkets or whatever, that are able to tap in and take money from me. And I'm already kind of thinking about what do I do when the bad thing happens? And I think that is exactly the same thing that we need to be doing for you know, the exit strategy for when the bad thing happens. And it's the same thing, which is, you know, if you look at any other part of, and I'm not going to say real life, because it's not right to say it was real life online, but your analog life, your face-to-face. When your kids first learn to drive, or when we learn to drive, you have to know what you're going to do when you get a puncture, or when you run out of petrol. You know, you're going to phone your dad, you've got a breakdown card. You have to have some plan. You can't just die by your car on the A1M. You know, you have to have some strategy for recovery. And that is what we also need to be doing in terms of being online. So it's about, you know, how you, these people, all these people, these librarians and all these other organizations are going to help get online. Someone is going to lose some money. That's what's going to happen. So how do we then recover from that? And so one of the things that is so important in my teaching with young people is is building resilience. They will be approached by a paedophile. They will be approached by somebody wanting to radicalize them for race hate or for religious hate or extremism and stuff. And they will be told that they are rubbish. They will be sworn at. They will be bullied. They will be told that their body's the wrong shape. Building resilience so that we can get over that. And a key part of that is going to be the opinions of strangers don't matter. It's only the opinions of our family and friends that truly matter. It'll hurt for a moment. Of course it hurts for a moment when somebody winds the window down and shouts something horrible to me because I've stopped at the wrong time in my car. But it doesn't define me. So building resilience in the young people and then resilience in our older people just seems
And I
to
think
be
it's
important stuff.
From a point of view of somebody who's delivering services to older people, as I am in Northfield and Edgbaston, it's not about them building any kind of dependence on me. It's about them finding other people out in the community who are going through similar things to themselves, who they can rely on to help them if and when this bad thing happens, so that they're not, my project will end and kind of something else will come along. But in the meantime, they've built a group around themselves. They know other people, who can support them.
This is exactly, it's almost as though we rehearsed it. What I say is that if you take that analogy of moving to another place, to a new place, and the things that we learn online are not linear. You don't have to learn one thing, then another thing, then another thing. It's not set back. We know different things, so that somebody who is new, who comes to Newcastle, and I befriend and help, they may say, I found this amazing baker that's around the corner, or there's a swimming pool that I've been here for 30 years and didn't know about. And so that your group that you put around yourself won't all be buying stuff from Marks and Spencer's. Somebody will have discovered that there are vouchers and Groupons and stuff, so you can get afternoon tea at that hotel. I didn't know, I'd never be able to afford to stay in that hotel, but they do afternoon tea for over 65s with an online voucher on a Wednesday afternoon for £5. That's shared knowledge. It's that same knowledge that you have. We used to always have students every year in our workplace, and they know that it's like the dark art of the bus routes, which is, I don't know how people know this, but if you say you need to get over there, then people will say you need to get the 36 and then drop off at the roundabout, and then you can pick up the 48 on the 10 pass, and that takes you straight through. And it's just this thing of local knowledge, which is what saves you and enriches your life. And just it's the little wins that just make our lives better, isn't it? And also it allows us to be better friends and better citizens because of the support that we can, this piece of knowledge that I have allows you to, to have a better life, really. And being online shouldn't be torture. It's supposed to make your life better. And if you're just, as my mum, bless her, used to just have beads of blood on her forehead to send an email. It was just always too difficult. But then she never had an email that she wanted to send because she spoke to us. Yeah. So that those things were always torturous, replying to the companies and so on that had to be done. So finding things that enrich your life is such an important part of that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the scams one is one that's coming up in kind of the groups that I'm going out to in Northfield and Edgbaston, where people, hesitate to even get online because they're worried about being scammed. And kind of, I'm suggesting that they take small steps. I think you've saying something similar, Simon. They kind of look around and see what might be worth looking at or kind of checking out without committing themselves to anything. If they're banking with a high street bank, they can get help to get online from some of the banks. They offer those kind of services. And they can, their local library might run sessions like we've talked about for Get Online Week, where someone can sit down with them and help them to kind of work through a process. Always encourage them, as Paul Clayton would say, to have a notebook, because they can, it doesn't always have to be notebook free environment, a paper free environment. Let's kind of write a few things down, not our passwords obviously, because we don't advise that. But
I have several envelopes, the back of which are.
Let me speak about passwords. Okay. Well, also, yes, everything that you've said there, whatever it is, somebody will have a scam ready for it. I mean, in a moment, people were selling PPE, and it's and not delivering it. I mean, that's just a thing. Passwords is a really interesting thing because yes, they are secret. You shouldn't be sharing them with anybody else. And I do so much work around the thing about a password is that it's a measure of intimacy. So primary school children will share passwords with best friends. Best friends knows password. And then as we become couples, we share our passwords because it's a sign of intimacy and trust. And so that, yes, my boyfriend has a key to my flat and he has passwords. So that and so how to exit a relationship is another part that we need to think about. We could talk about that too. But when you said we shouldn't write passwords down, that's true. And I have slides that show that you can still buy a password book on Amazon. It says passwords on the front, and you write down Marks and Spencer's, food one or whatever it is that is your password. The truth is that you could write your passwords down, and you could put them in a tin of baked beans in your cupboard, or because the burglar who comes into your house statistically is going to be nicking your computer and is going to be nicking jewelry and so on. It's unlikely they're then going to take the book of passwords and then log into all of your accounts and order things from Marks and Spencer's. So
yes,
if people have to write them down, then write them down, but put them somewhere behind the chimney or in the dog's bed or whatever it is that you need to do. You could choose to do that. The answer to passwords is a password manager. Yeah. As much as anything. Another part of passwords, though, is that I talk about, should we have fingerprint recognition or should we have a pattern on our phone? And I also deliver, I deliver some very challenging courses, and one is about stalking and domestic abuse. And within that, we can see that it is people become victims when they're incapacitated. So whether they're drunk or whether they're asleep, and their thumbs are then used to access the device, and then all of the misery is perpetuated and becomes sharper focused and so on. So having a pattern is better than having a thumbprint. It would seem to be a good piece of guidance for that. When it comes to the passwords, though, a password manager would be a really useful way to move forward. And then also not to be shy about writing them down. If that's your obstacle, then write them down and put them, you've got a big house. There's plenty of places to hide them from the burglar if that's the thing that you feel that you need to do. Yeah.
What about facial recognition? I've got a new phone for work, and one of the options is facial recognition. I know it's had some very bad press with faces not being certain faces not being recognized.
Yes.
But what's your thoughts on that?
I don't like my face. I mean, this is a starting point. I mean, it's not the technical. This is why you pay me the big bucks to come on here. It's just I don't like what I would look like. But I get concerned about, well, what if my face doesn't look right on that day that the lighting's not right? But aside from that, what is more of my priority, and has been throughout all of this, is I try to command a level of privacy, and so my apps work on a need-to-know basis. And you might have seen, if you follow my timelines, I retweeted today, and I will be speaking about in sessions about schools that are using facial recognition to get children more quickly through lunch canteens. You have to get the dinner. And what price selling your soul? How much does a meal cost to give away your likeness? And in olden days, this thing about capturing a soul with a camera, it gets to be such an interesting thing of why would people need to know your face, and should we be concerned about facial recognition, and certainly in a country that has the more CCTV than anywhere else on the planet and all of those kinds of things. So my view is, why would I want to do CCTV when in fact I can, facial recognition, when I could choose to have a pattern on my phone? I mean, why would I do that? And also, I am concerned about that if I don't have the correct conditions, that my face won't be recognized if the lighting is poor, and if I'm looking particularly rough on that day, or glasses or not glasses, and all of those kinds of things. But there was a concern about holding up. You could access people's devices by using a photo of them and so on. So it's. I think these are challenging times. My view is that I wouldn't. I haven't. But equally so, you could ask me to talk about the Internet of Things, and about whether I have Alexa or Siri activated in my house, and no, I don't. And I question and challenge and humiliate people in my courses by saying, well, why did you have Alexa in your house? Why would you allow Amazon to simply be able to record and listen to every one of your conversations? Because there's plenty of news articles about how humans do listen to elements of. They don't listen to everybody, of course, not all the time. But why would you do that? Why would you put that device in your house just so that you could choose music in the morning?
Please do carry on, because I've been thinking that for older people, we talk about the devices and kind of being the way they're set up, and they're not user friendly. They're not set up to make it easier for older people to be online and to use services and stuff like that. So I've been kind of defaulting to saying, we need to work more on AI and let that be the voice activation be the thing that we then encourage older people to use. But you sound like you have a different viewpoint on that, and I'd be interested to hear it.
I think, yes, I would spend all day contradicting myself, which is that it's kind of a risk and benefit analysis on everything that we do. What's the risks and what's the benefits? And so we could say that for somebody who's myself, who is kind of functioning at a fairly reasonable level, I can make choices not to use these assistants, these assists, because I believe that the payoff is worse than the benefit. So for example, I don't have a Ring doorbell. I don't have a Wi-Fi enabled doorbell where wherever I am, I can see who's at the front door, because I'm mindful that they're not so difficult to hack, and also that if anybody else had access to it, they would know when I was coming and going and so on. And that again is a tool, not in my case, but when I'm talking about domestic abuse and domestic violence, it is a way of monitoring and controlling. So the normalization of those things is something that should be of some concern, and equally so for devices within the household. But if you have somebody whose functioning is impaired in some way, whether it is on an intellectual level or whether it's on a physical level, then by all means, then the benefit of Alexa turning lights on and off would just seem to be such a reasonable thing to do, isn't it? Is that if you have a relative or somebody known to you who struggles to get out of a chair, to get from the kitchen, from the chair to the bathroom, then why wouldn't you, instead of them having to reach for lights and take your hand off the walking frame, shout out that command, light on, light off, and stand a stair lift up and down? Why wouldn't you connect all of those things and use what's described as the Internet of Things to make it a more mobile and enabled house? We're not looking to disable people, but that then also makes those people vulnerable. Of course it does. Anybody is vulnerable if there's more monitoring and recording facility within their lives. Of course that's the case, but the benefits are greater. I talk about young people online who perhaps might be visually impaired, so if they're blind or if they have less limbs than other people, they can be normal online or like everybody else online. Nobody knows that as a gamer they only have one arm, or that it takes them half an hour to write a sentence. Because of their disability or their inability to do something. They can be the same as everybody else. So social media and being on online gaming, wherever it is, it makes a much more egalitarian place to be. So I'm not a one for demonizing technology or social media. I see all of the rewards of that, and that I think takes us back to why we would want people to get online in the first place, because it should make people's lives better. If it's not made. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to move on to another conversation I've been having about people wanting to download or print off photographs that they've taken on their devices, and so I'm weighing up the balance between, do I show them what to do, or do I say to them, you can go into a high street pharmacy, well-known chemist, and get them to do it for you? What's the do they have to do everything themselves, or is it fine to say, no, there's people out there who can help you?
Oh, I think absolutely get other people to do it. I think, service industry, whatever it is, I go into shops and buy a cheese sandwich. I mean, what I know how to make cheese sandwiches. Why couldn't I have 2 slices of bread and cheese? I could have done that myself. You pay because it allows you to do something else with your time. And my dad, bless him, he would because he was a bit of an amateur. He was an amateur photographer, and then he got a digital camera. And then as he became much older, he took snaps. But if you took a picture of my dog, he would then print it on this printer that took an hour, and then post the picture to me. He was doing that 2 years ago or something. And, I have the dog here. I have no great, but that's, so there is a mindset, which is I will need to print that off. And I think that, and this isn't about old people, this is about me too. Nothing was more sharper focus than when I became self-employed several years ago, that I have to pay for the ink. As opposed to the things that I printed at work. And so my printer is more of an ornament than as a printer, because I take great care so that if you're talking about people who want to print there's an event that has happened, take a view on why you want that picture. There's a conversation to be had. We're not telling them not to. But I make great use of those photo services. I'll not name them, but they're with mugs or jigsaws or birthday cards with photos on, and they cost tuppence. They do for the, and you can, one of the great things about online services that and certainly has come into its own for me during lockdown is you can send stuff to other people.
Yes.
Just and some
no
places,
stamps.
even,
it's amazing. You don't need stamps.
No,
or you can print off your stamps. Yeah,
that starts to melt my mind when I'm trying to. Then I need one of us to come and talk to me about, mate, you don't have to do that. You don't have to print the stamp. You could have just emailed the thing in the first place. But that is an enabling thing. So that, and it was certainly a conversation I had with my mum, which was that as she became more kind of frail, was you can just send this stuff to them. You don't have to. You don't have to leave your house. You can go on to, let's say, Amazon, for example, choose something, put their address in. It will be gift wrapped with a tag of your message, and it arrives at their house wrapped from you. And same with flowers or chocolates or wine. And I've done so much of that. And it is, and also, and here's the other part, which I think is possibly the last thing for me to say. What chance of that? Is being online has made me a better person. And this is, it just sounds a bizarre thing to say, sort of Jack Nicholson thing. It's made me a better person because I am able to be more thoughtful and more kind in a way that, frankly, before all this, I really couldn't be fussed to do. So that, for example, when I meet, there's a guy around the corner who I kind of know, and he's having, he's been having radiotherapy and stuff, and he looked just a bit sad. To be able, and I knew what his number his house was because there's a number outside his house, and I knew what his name was. And I got on Amazon and I sent some chocolates and some bottles of beer, and I didn't put a card in, I just sent them to him. And the idea that I would have got on a bus or driven into town and chosen some things and then picked them up and taken them, I'm not that kind. I'm not kind enough to make the effort that the other generation would have done, to walk down the John Lewis or something. But what I can do is that if you say that your favorite author is John Steinbeck or Isabella, what was I going to say? I was going to say Ajani. I was going to say something else. Who's the spirit? Just stop for a moment. Then it's easy enough. Just go on Amazon and then send it to you, and that's enabling to be a better person, a kinder person, a facilitator. Is such a great thing. And I do that all of the time now, which is that, my kids lose headphones or somebody tells me they haven't got a phone adapter. I'm not rich, but you can send 10 quid's worth of something to people any day of the week, really, and just blat it out there. It makes their lives better. You look better because you've done something kind, and jobs are good.
Going back to your question, Pauline, about asking in a pharmacy and about photographs and stuff. I think all of that conversation about what we're doing online helps to underline the basic fact that Simon was mentioning at the beginning, which is that online is a collection of real people. So whether you have a conversation about what you're trying to do online with someone in the pharmacy or with a Facebook friend or in a group or whatever, just that acknowledgement that I'm a person who wants to make some decisions, but I'm open to some advice.
Of course.
I think that's quite a good first step towards this kind of working out who we can trust and who we can't. Because if you kind of build in that sort of community thing, and I very much like as well, Simon, your I share your dislike of the online and real life dichotomy. I think that's completely the wrong way to put it, because you've given some great examples there. The last things you were saying about chocolate and beer, about online being a real life event for someone who receives this stuff. And the other way around is true as well. The stuff that we do online, this is part of my real life, even though we're all doing it online. And it's an opportunity to do something that I wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. So I hate the real life, the reality of real life, and the I don't know what it is, the fakeness, the second bestness of online. We should get past that.
I've got another thing, which might be our closing remark, because you're so right. And something that I haven't finished being able to articulate, and I'm not sure we've got the right words for, is, are we friends? Pauline, Sweyn, and myself, are we friends? We've spoken, we've certainly never met face to face.
Nope.
And we met through John, and I feel that John was my friend, although I hadn't met John face to face. But I've engaged with him off and on for years, and there are two things that are becoming a focus in my work, which is about online safety and digital citizenship. I don't think we're teaching people how to exit a relationship with dignity and with safety and kindness and so on, so that it is, when the relationship is over, people have all of this collateral of loving messages and intimate messages and photos and so on, and that's where we end up with revenge porn and anger and stalking and all of. So we need to help people to, because it is a bombardment of content, in a way that when I was younger was that they just backed you in, and then you walked around a bit glum, and there was no evidence that you'd been together at all, really, apart from a t-shirt or a concert ticket. But their phones were full of all of this stuff, and their devices were full of all this stuff. So we need some kind of way of providing support for people when that relationship ends. And then the other part of this, and this has happened to us together, so we have this shared experience, and this has happened to me so many times now, where I have witnessed the death of a digital friend in real time. And several people died last year, and they pretty much posted until they died. And somebody, again, who I'd only met once, but I considered a good friend, did a hospice care. She had cancer, she went into hospice care as a respite. The plan was that she was going in to get better, build her strength up, and to come out. And her last post was, really not feeling too well today. And then a silence. And when I keep going back to check, and I just keep going to check, my last message was, I hope you're all right, because I could see the signs that day. And the same happened for us with John. Was that John was not very ill in my head.
That's right.
John was not very ill, and then John was very poorly, and then now John isn't with us, and we watched that happen. Whereas prior to social media, John would have been a colleague or somebody known to us, so we'd have had this conversation, which would have said, oh, John's a bit poorly, and then we'd get on with our lives, and then a couple of weeks later, how's John? Well, he's not very good at the moment. And so that there would be some distance and barrier in this thing. Whereas whether we want to be or not,
that's right,
there are people known to us who, before our very eyes, we lose in our streams. And for some of us, because I knew John over on different channels, that happens again and again. And then the other thing that happens is everybody in the world tells you they have gone. And so I feel that in the last 5 years, and I'm of an age, I suppose, that people die. And so somebody will post such sad news about Simon, and you think, oh, what happened? I don't know. So you start going through people's timelines, and then you can see that Simon has died. And then all of these people, with the best of intentions, then tell me Simon has died for the next week. I'm not sure if you knew or not, but Simon has died. And so I keep being hit, whether I wanted it or not. with that same grief. And we see this with Robin Williams' daughter. Did you see this?
Yes.
There's an actor doing a good thing of an impression of Robin Williams, and people keep sending it to her.
Oh.
So she's had, did you see that she's had millions of it? It's been sent to her like 3 million times or something. And so she's put this plea out, will you stop sending this thing? And I think this is an important element of digital citizenship that we need to teach the resilience of, and also how to behave, with dignity and something.
It's a new way of interacting with people's well, there are good news and there are bad news.
Absolutely, and I felt
certainly where each time you are reminded of something that's been bad news, it's a new thing to have so many repeats of it over and over again. I hadn't really thought.
And then every year.
Yeah,
I shared a picture today of a friend who died, who came up in my, it was 4 years ago today that I took a picture of him with my dog, and it's and there it is again, and it is continuing, just continuing.
And there's the lack of nuance as well online, where, you know, in so many WhatsApp groups, for example, you know, messages fly around and people press send without thinking, did I say that in a way that's not going to be misinterpreted? Did I put an emoji that's going to upset somebody? Did I use a word that's, you know, people don't use anymore, or, you know, and all that's out there, and coping with all that. Yeah.
There's nothing as rude as a full stop. Apparently, you know, to younger people, a full stop. As long as we understand the nuance of capital letters and shouting and so on. But
you put a full stop, you're making a very deliberate point.
And this is digital literacy, and there's such an important part too, because, and I see professionals, I see teachers, for example, arguing with each other in public on Twitter about pedagogy. Really,
Oops, we've lost you, Simon.
Your sound has.
We've lost your sound,
stopped.
Simon. I mean, I've seen people sending a message to the wrong group, you know, a group, this is where it comes into the kind of old-fashioned stuff about having a good header or having a good subject line on an email. You know, if you're going to send a message to somebody, please tell them what it's about online. Please tell them what it's going to be about before you launch into, you know, sort of and this and this and this. So at least they have a chance to know what it's all about. Are we got you back, Simon?
Back again?
Yeah.
Back.
Good.
Yes, I swapped microphones.
Yeah.
I think that was one of you two. I saw what you were doing. Oh, we don't do it. It's coming now. 4 hours later, we found out how to mute him. Thank you.
Not at all. I wish we had lots more time. We'll have to. We'll look forward to you coming back another day to expand on some of these themes for sure.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Definitely, yeah. No, it's good, Simon, and it's because you're out there in the world delivering, you know, to people about staying safe online. You know, we would encourage people to follow you in all the various places where they can find you. What's your kind of favorite, if you have a favorite platform for people, where can they get you the quickest, maybe?
They can get me with equal speed wherever I am. I would say the one that is of most use to them, I think, is the Facebook page. Now, even if people don't use Facebook, get an account and start to follow pages of things that will be useful to you. And it might be news, it might be sport, but the page is the place where I post things, which is the most accessible. If you've got the app on your phone, it will turn up there. Maybe you find me over on Twitter and so on, and you'll find me on Instagram. And the website tends to be the archive of all of the things. There's 10 years worth of content. But if you want to know what's going on, so for example, Squid Game has been very much in the news. That's, as soon as I see it, it goes on the Facebook page. And the Twitter stream, and perhaps even over on LinkedIn too. You'll see that LinkedIn's one of them. Most accessible is the page, and you can choose to like it or to follow it, so that or to mute it, you know, so that you've got full control. I don't get any money from it; it doesn't make any difference to me. But it means that if you think that you want to be kept abreast of stuff for a few weeks, it is there for you. If you want to like turn it off and look at something else, that's cool too.
And are you posting with a particular individual in mind, Simon, or is it more general?
I actually, because my work, I don't really post for young people, for children. I don't. They're not going to come to. They're not going to go Facebook and Twitter for that. So I'm looking at teachers, and I'm looking for those adults that have a role of safeguarding young people. And then I also brought out into other organizations that may have an idea about online reputation and technology. So I have kind of different voices, and you can see that actually that my content isn't all for teachers, and it's not all for social workers, and it's not all for police officers. I try to have a kind of broad stream, but it is more focused about online safety over on the Facebook, whereas you can see over on the Twitter. I don't mind telling you that I think that Donald Trump's not really very good at his job. You know, I think it strays a little bit over there into things. But again, I think as an elder, which is what we are, I am, you are, you young people.
Oh, we are. I am anyway.
Definitely elders.
I think we do have a responsibility to have a view on things. Whereas 10 years ago, all of my posts were agnostic. But I think as somebody who's been in education for 35 years, I think it's important that we provide a level and a helpful, I think, view which people can accept or reject. That's cool.
Great. We'll be putting links onto the YouTube once it's posted on YouTube, and probably almost straight away, Simon, afterwards, so people will be able to contact you. Thank you very much for joining us again. We really appreciate it, and we hope that people will follow you and will keep coming back to Dr. Tech Show for great interviews like this. So thank you very much again, and everyone, we hope you have a great week. Bye.